Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 137, our weekly get-together. We talk about recent gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Stephen Brown, and joining me today is...
I'm David.
Tonight, David, we're going to get into No Man's Sky's comeback, maybe? A little bit of legal stuff with Quantic Dream. We're going to, and keeping in mind, we're still not lawyers, so that's always fun.
Yeah, we're gonna make it up. It's fine.
A whole bunch of interesting facts and figures that PC put out, as well as the return of the Escapist. Of course, if you're watching us live here at Twitch TV/GamePoints, feel free to join in the conversation. This is a conversational podcast and audience interactive. So feel free to leave any questions, comments, concerns in there on the chat down there, and we will try to address them if we can. If you can't watch us live, feel free to do the same over on YouTube. And regardless of where you happen to be watching us, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. You guys have been on the internet long enough. You know how all of this works. David.
Yes,
I have been playing a lot of Warframe lately.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm glad I finally got you to do that.
That game has no business being as good as it is for being free.
Right? It's really good. It's why I never got into Destiny, because it was unnecessary.
Yeah, it's not as refined or polished as Destiny. I want to make that perfectly clear.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Destiny has better gunplay. 100%.
Yes. But I got more story in the first 6 missions of Warframe than I did the entire expansion of Destiny.
Yeah, dude. And there's a lot of shit to do.
Oh, yeah. That solar system map is insane. Unlike Destiny, if it's 4 planets, it has all 9 plus extras. And yes, Pluto is a planet.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Told me so.
I'm glad you're enjoying it, though.
Yeah, I'm getting a kick out of it. However, I don't think you've been getting a kick out of what's going to be our first topic for the story. You recently went through and retried No Man's Sky again after the new next patch. What did you think?
I did. Well, I played No Man's Sky. I went back to it a year ago. We did our year in review. How has it changed after like the Atlas Rising update, and I played around with the base building and all that good stuff. Now I went back and I actually did try multiplayer, and I started a new character to see what was going on. I didn't just load up my old save, and multiplayer works. The game now is what it should have launched as, and I really wish we had 2 years of patches.
So what you're saying is it's now at the foundation it should have been at 2 years ago, but it's still not where you want it to be.
I mean, I had bug issues. My multiplayer partner was saying they were on another planet, even though I could physically see their character, but the little icon saying this person was on a different planet, like up in space. I would try and mark waypoints. They would disappear as soon as I get in my ship. I just had a lot of issues with it. I don't think my computer sucks. And everything that you remember about the grindiness, which I don't know if you remember, but you have to put fuel in your mining laser so you can grind minerals, so you can put gas in your ship, so you can take off, so you can fly to another thing, so you can get more fuel for your mining lasers to get more minerals to put more gas in your ship, is now even worse with the invention of the refinery. So instead of just grabbing a bunch of stuff and then mixing it together and making items and crafting and then loading your ship up and taking off, you then have to stick a bunch of shit into a refinery and press begin, and it takes real time to turn things from like ferrite into pure ferrite. And it's not like, oh, here's 2 seconds and then I just made a bunch of it. No, I loaded a thing with like 100 and it said come back in 2 minutes. I don't have the time that No Man's Sky seems to think I do to play that game. It's already too big. There's too much stuff to do. And I get that the scope is a little ridiculous and it's like a cool, relaxing game, but it wasn't relaxing to me anymore. I didn't have the fun of just hopping my ship and going to planets that I did when I played it a year ago. So right now, yeah, I'm still not hyped about it.
Fair enough.
Which is rough because I want to be. I keep wanting to like that game.
I want to say hi to Fuse, Real Pie Master. I see you both in there. I thought I saw Coco in there real quick, but I must have missed him. You're not the only person that's been having problems with No Man's Sky Next, by the way. I've seen reported issues where the game kind of soft locks for people, aka they'll be on a planet, and to get their ship functional, they need a device that their waypoint tracker says is on another planet. Meaning they can't fly to the planet to get the device they need to fly to the other planet. That kind of just kills your save. And there have been a whole multitude of other issues. However, it seems that a lot of people are way into it. Sean Murray
Yeah,
himself even joking on Twitter, "We mixed now, boys," as their review score has been slowly going up from the abyssal, I think it was overwhelmingly negative. Now it's mixed. So,
there's people who like it.
yeah. Opinions on No Man's Sky there, Fuse, new to the game. I didn't play it. David just kind of ran through his idea. He more or less says it's still not where he wants it. But
Yeah, it's closer to what I wanted the game to be at launch, but I really feel like if it had launched as this and we were 2 years in the future of patches and updates and balancing and stuff like that, I would be happy with it. But this game that it is now didn't come out 2 years ago. It came out now, and it's kind of fixed. Yeah, multiplayer's in the game. You can run around with your friends, but they upped the grind to a point where I can't play it anymore. It's just too much for me.
it's definitely at the point now
I don't
where
like
it is
staring at
delivering.
timers because here's a great way I can put it. It's not Eve Online. Eve Online is a game that takes a lot of time to do anything, but there's so much going on in the universe and so many people to interact with that it can kind of get away with it. This is you're isolated on a planet by yourself. It should respect my time more.
Fair enough. And not respecting your time is a valid complaint. However, from the looks of it, this seems to finally be the game that people were promised 2 years ago because
Well, the planets look amazing. Rings look great.
yeah. And I hate to say this because it sounds overwhelmingly harsh, but I think it's fair to say Sean Murray outright lied before the game came out. And he could have, after the game released, Hello Games could have walked away, never touched it again. They didn't, and just disappeared. They could have rebranded under a different name and come back with a new game. But I have to give them credit. They spent the past 2 years working on this to hammer out what was originally promised. 2 years too late, in my opinion. But hey, they turned it around and they released something that was initially promised.
Well, I am happy though that they're still working on it. When they launched the next update, there was issues with people's saves being deleted and all kinds of crazy stuff. But they had a patch out for that right away. They're still pushing updates to this game, and they're being a bit more vocal. Because if you remember when No Man's Sky came out, the whole company just went dark. They didn't talk about it. They didn't address it. It was just that's why people got mad about it. So I like the fact that they're still invested in it, and maybe this will pull a Warframe. Give it another 2 years, and it could be the space sim that I've always wanted.
Now, I don't want to completely dismiss No Man's Sky. Jim Sterling, in his Jimquisition video today, brought up a topic that I think is kind of valid. It's the idea of this mega patch, a patch that completely changes the game from what it was. And he used examples like, and I'm blanking on all of them now, but like
perfect examples.
Think Final Fantasy XIV, for example, a game that was disastrous at launch that is now competent and worth playing. Same thing with Rainbow Six and The Division. The Division, when it first came out, was kind of a clusterfuck, and now people say it's a good game. So
Dude, Siege is a great example. That game launched to no players, and Siege is a fantastic game now.
Yeah. So, do you think this is good though? I mean, it's gone
it's a step
beyond
step in the right direction.
Yeah, but
they got a bunch of players back. That's
isn't this
motivating?
They did go up from when No Man's Sky first came out, it was 212 players at its peak.
1,000
went down to 1,000 players before the recent patch. Oh yeah, 212,000. Sorry, went down to 1,000 players before its recent patch, and then over the weekend hit 97,000 players. So they definitely got half their team back. But isn't this just an example of the ship it now, patch it later mentality, but even on a grander scale?
It's weird because this game was always kind of thought of by the public and by the media as a AAA game. But remember, Hello Games is like 17 people. This was never a AAA game. It just had AAA money behind it, or like marketing, I should say, and expectations.
Yeah,
if this game had launched 2 years ago,
the hype for
and
this game
the version
was
that came out 2
out
years
of
ago was
control.
the early access No Man's Sky, and this was the release version right now that we just get, I don't think anyone would even like mention it, and it would have had the fallout it had.
I think you're absolutely right. If No Man's Sky would have released 2 years ago as an early access game, definitely wouldn't have been as rightfully lambasted as it was right now. Let us know what you think about No Man's Sky in the chat below. If you're watching us live, chat down there. Let's go ahead and take a look at chat real quick, because it seems to be unusually busy tonight. Cocoa for tacos. Cookies, milk, and GamePoints life is good. You know, I do love myself an Oreo and glass of milk every now and then.
An Oreo? Not just like a oven baked chocolate chip?
No, it's got to be specifically an Oreo because you soak that son of a bitch in there until it gets almost falling apart and you pull it out. It's amazing. Wasn't Sean Murray's Twitter hacked soon after launch? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know off the top of my head. Fuse911 says he's invested in Star Citizen. You know, I have a friend who put money on Star Citizen back in 2012 when that Kickstarter first launched. And that game, as far as I'm concerned, is vaporware. Another comment from chat. Siege is the best and worst shooter in my... Okay, yep, I absolutely agree. That's a game that we were talking about turned itself around real quick. And let's see, what else? No Man's Sky, kind of an easy space game for us idiots. I'll give you that. No Man's Sky is, as far as crafting games go, is on the easier side of the scale. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's not bad, but there's just a lot of staring at countdowns.
Yeah, that's that mobilization of games, that mobile market where it's like if you want to do something, you have to wait 4 hours of real world time to continue. And I don't like it, and I don't think it's going away based on another story we're going to talk about later. But moving on from this No Man's Sky comeback, can we call it a comeback?
I don't know.
I don't want to.
How about No Man's Sky's official 1.0 release?
Fair enough. I do want to say I'm shocked that game's still $60. Yes, it's on sale right now for $30, but it's still full price 2 years after the fact.
And apparently a bunch of people bought it recently, so they can do whatever they want, I guess.
All right. Anyways, next topic. I'm going to give this the typical disclaimer. Neither one of us are lawyers. We have no idea what we're talking about, and this deals with French law, which makes it even more complicated. Here in an article from Eurogamer, Detroit Heavy Rain developer Quantic Dream loses employment court case against staff member who quit due to Photoshop montage scandal. David, do you remember earlier this year when we talked about how Quantic Dream was coming under fire for alleged...
Yes. There was a lot of stories about David Cage being an asshole, which... Yep. Rumor. But it sounds probable. I don't know.
He is definitely a very brash personality.
He seems like the kind of guy that could potentially be an asshole. But I've never met him, so I don't know. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stories about them having like a toxic workplace. French journalists, I remember, were all on them for like harassing employees and just being dicks. And I do distinctly remember Cage coming out and just like flat out denying it. And then in an interview, right, he wasn't supposed to say anything and then said, oh, we're going to sue him.
Yeah, he had his PR guy there who tried to interrupt him, but it didn't happen.
Kept telling him to shut up, and David's just like, oh, yeah, we're going to sue him.
So,
which was interesting because a lot of companies have had accusations thrown at them, but they were the only one to react so, like, violently to the accusations.
Right.
No, fuck you, you're lying. Yeah. We're taking you to court.
Most companies would just go, we're looking into it, harassment's a terrible thing, or at least stay silent about it. David Cage went on the attack. So we're going to be reading from this article here, from the Eurogamer article directly, quote, controversial game studio Quantic Dream, developer of PlayStation exclusives Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human, has lost a court case against a former employee. The victim of the case quit their post due to the offensive Photoshop images of employees being circulated at the studio, images which came to light during a damning joint investigation into toxic workplace culture undertaken by a team of journalists at Le Monde, Canard PC, and Mediapart published back in January. These reports variously accused Quantic Dream leaders David Cage and Guillaume de Fondemire of inappropriate behavior, overworking staff, and colluding in, or at least turning a blind eye to, a schoolboy culture involving sexist and racist jokes. And this is where I want to bring up what you were mentioning earlier, David. Unlike so many of these stories we have here, Cage went on a full offensive talking about how this is all bullshit. And Quantic Dream did try to sue the publications we're talking about here. I don't know if it was successful or not. I doubt it was, but he did try to make lawsuits. Going on back from the article.
I feel like if it did happen, we would have talked about it.
Yeah, I think
so. We talked about a lot of bullshit.
Going on back from the article, quote, in this case, Quantic Dream staff members' experience at the studio was suing in the court. Let me start over again. In this case, Quantic Dream staff members' experience at the studio swung the court in their favor. The staff members' decision to quit will now be treated as an unfair dismissal with the rights according to this. Quantic Dream, meanwhile, now has a right to appeal. Essentially, one of the people who quit successfully had the court say, yeah, this was an unfair dismissal. important to keep in mind this headline is a little bit misleading because it makes it sound like Quantum Dream lost all of it, but in reality,
There's like three separate suits, right?
Yeah, 3 former employees sued, and 2 of them were dismissed.
Just get out of here. This is BS.
Right. So if you're looking to make Quantum Dream the evil bad guy, keep in mind of the 3 people that went to court, only one of them was found to be wrongful here. And I'm not saying that Quantum Dream should be forgiven or that anything is even coming from this.
Although they did find examples of all this like fucked up Photoshop of like various employees photoshopped onto like Nazi propaganda and like fucking porn stars and all kinds of crazy shit.
Yes.
So that's a little fucked up, but
I'm going to tag allegedly to all of this because it's still working its way through the courts because we don't know if Quantic Dream is responsible for it or if an employee in Quantic Dream is responsible for it or if David Cage himself is, but that's separate from Quantic Dream. It's one of those things where I'm going to tag allegedly on all of this because I don't know what the legalities are of this case when it comes down to it. But I just want to bring that up, that story is progressing. And I did also want to mention that, yes, this article does say, hey, an employee won against Quantic Dream while 2 others lost against Quantic Dream. So it's still a clusterfuck of who said what. Maybe the employee who won had a little bit more evidence, or maybe one of the jokes was directed at them personally, whereas the other 2 were just side members seeing what was going on. Mm-hmm. Who knows? As far as I could tell, the article from Eurogamer doesn't get into details about any of that. Any more thoughts you want to add to this, David?
Well, again, we're not very good at law-based things. And as a general rule, we try not to pick a lot of sides because maybe one day we'll be on Twitter and we won't get yelled at by the internet because we didn't say the wrong thing that one time. But who knows?
I look forward to finally being successful and having a tweet taken out of context 10 years from now.
All right, that sounds good. But yeah, there's a lot of stories about various development companies having issues, or like the schoolboy culture of the games environment, and these guys have denied it, but there's a lot of like potential evidence floating around against these guys, and how many people are still talking about it makes it seem to have slightly more traction than some of the other stories we've heard, just because this has been going on and on and on and on for quite a while. And I know we just talked about the lawsuits at the earlier part of the year, but we've been talking about David Cage for probably 2 solid years and all the crazy shit he said, allegedly.
Not to get conspiratorial here, which kind of is going to tie into the next topic, but the games media industry as a whole seem to just have it in for David Cage. Now, I understand the guy is super arrogant. I don't care too much for the man personally myself, but there seems to be a lot of irrational hatred to him, so they tend to glob onto stories that portray him in a negative light and seem to push that a little bit more because a lot of people seem to have an axe to grind against David Cage. But hey, that's their prerogative, right?
Maybe it's because he's French.
I'm trying to think of another French game developer, but I keep just thinking of the Ubisoft guy, Yves Guillemot. So that doesn't really count.
People were mad at Ubisoft for a really long time. Maybe it's because they're French. Maybe that's the problem with the games industry.
Anyways, let us know what you think about this whole David Cage situation. Do you think that these employees have a legitimate claim? Do you think that all 3 of them should have been able to win a case against it? Just let us know what you think down in the comments below. The only thing I ask is keep it civil, guys. I know that harassment and racism can be very hot topics, and that was kind of what was going on here, but let's just try to not get too nuts with the name calling.
Remember our golden rule: don't be dicks on the internet. That includes to each other, and to people in games in general.
Previously known as Wheaton's rule, but Will Wheaton himself is kind of a dick, so we have co-opted and stolen that from him.
All right.
Excuse me. David, why don't you go ahead and lead us on the next topic conversation here?
Well, this story is pretty funny to me. This is from GameIndustry.biz, and EA talks cross-platform and some other stuff in an investment call. So EA had a Q1 earnings call on Thursday. This is where a bunch of executives get on the phone with a bunch of stockholders and talk about like their earnings and their portfolio and what's coming up and how much money they could potentially make in the future. And the executives on the call were basically bombarded with questions about how EA's models for online games might resemble Fortnite. Because investors don't give a shit about making new games or making a new trend or being unique or original. They want to go where the money is, and that means you follow trends and you do what's popular. So during the call, CEO Andrew Wilson was asked how EA was looking at the success of Fortnite's cross-platform playability for games like Battlefield 5. And he prefaced his answer with a hope that in 3 to 5 years, a great portion of game experiences will exist in the cloud, allowing cross-platform carryover a given, but didn't necessarily answer the question. It's something that they're potentially interested in, but they can't really say anything because, obviously you have Sony shutting down cross-platform more or less. Xbox and Nintendo will work together, PC and everybody will work together, and mobile and everybody will work together. At some point, Sony's probably going to have to bite that bullet and allow crossplay, but it's going to need something to force its hand. So we'll see where it is. The big thing really is just the fact that they had this call and all anyone asked about is, hey, what are you guys doing that's going to be exactly like Fortnite, and how are we going to make all that Fortnite money? Which I think is hilarious.
That's one part of the call, right? The investors going up to EA who used to make trends, now only follow them. Their investors like, what can we do to follow this trend rather than, creating the next Fortnite, something that's going to be bigger. They keep trying to trace that. But the second part that I want to bring up is this crossplay thing. It's not going to be us that make Sony change their mind on it. We're not. Sony doesn't care. We keep buying their games. What's going to make them change their mind on it are their investors. And it seems that the people who control the purse strings behind the scenes at these places, EA has their guys right here, but these questions are being asked at all these shareholder meetings. They're starting to say, hey, what about this crossplay thing? Because Fortnite has been so successful with crossplay, they're going to start hammering on every company to start including crossplay, because investors, like you mentioned, don't think in terms of original ideas. They think in terms of what makes a lot of money. Fortnite makes a lot of money. Fortnite has crossplay. Therefore, in their minds, crossplay means a lot of money. Make your shit have crossplay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, eventually, Sony is going to be forced to capitulate. It's not going to be this generation. You are not going to see this on PlayStation 4. This is, like Andrew House alluded to, in 3 to 5 years, once everything is on the cloud, whatever this mythical cloud is. It's a lot like blockchain and other nebulous terms that people like to throw out, but no one really can explain. You're going to see the next generation of consoles have this built in. Not built in because you don't need to build it. It's already in there right now. But that's when you're going to start seeing this pop up. Sony is going to go, we are already market leaders with PlayStation 4. We don't need to worry about adding crossplay right now because we don't see the financial benefits to it. Investors will start bitching and they'll go, fine, starting with PlayStation 5, we'll start having it. That is my theory. That does not necessarily mean it's going to happen, but that is where this is going to eventually get forced into it. And we're getting closer and closer to that singularity where everything will be played on every system. And the only thing that's really going to separate these systems apart is internal horsepower and services.
Yeah, basically. Everything's going to be a service game, and I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of... I was dragged into the digital age when Steam first came out, kicking and streaming. I remember looking when Steam first arrived back with Half-Life 2, and I was like, God damn it, I don't want this to be the future of gaming. I don't want everything to be digital because they can change their mind and pull it off the store, and I'll never play it again. But with rare exception, that's not been the case. The only game that I can think of that's ever had that happen to actually is the PT demo. So maybe my fears of a Netflix-like subscription are unfounded here, and it could be great. But let us know what you guys think down below. Let's turn to chat back again, because it looks like there's a topic of conversation that I thought about including on this show, but didn't. So, Fuse911 in chat says, maybe off topic, but I heard some developer got fired for making a potential negative comment to a YouTuber on social media. David, I believe they're referring to Jessica Price, who was a narrative designer over at ArenaNet for Guild Wars 2. We had this conversation. We talked about it.
Dude, I already handled this in chat. You got to read the rest of the notes.
Hey, I'm just saying.
He only reads one thing at a time, guys.
I want to touch on this real quick because it is kind of a big story that happened today as well. There is a follow-up to it. There's an update. This is called Setting the Table, David.
All right.
If you want our opinion on that, go back a couple episodes. I can't remember when, but it was like 3 or
It's
4
our show
weeks
from the
ago.
ninth.
Okay, and take a look at that. What happened recently is that Jessica Price came back on Twitter, said some, in my opinion, inflammatory things again, and got everyone riled up about it again. My stance on Miss Price is I don't want to talk about her anymore. I think that she has proven to be unhireable, in my opinion. And I think that the best thing we can do is the John Hamm move from Mad Men, when he's trapped in the elevator from that guy who goes, you know what? You're a horrible person. I feel sorry for you. And he just simply replies, I don't think about you at all, and leaves. That is the best possible advice I can think of for dealing with Jessica Price. Don't think about her at all and move on. Let them scream endlessly into the void as everyone else goes off and enjoys video games.
Oh. I mean, okay. I think she shouldn't have gotten fired, and this whole situation's bullshit, but that's fine. Whatever.
No, I can agree with you there. I think the whole situation is bullshit.
I think if you say some shit on Twitter, unless it's like horribly offensive, or directly affects someone's like life, liberty, or pursuit of happiness, who gives a fuck?
I can simultaneously say I don't think she should have been fired, and I think she's a terrible person.
I mean, that's fine.
And that's my stance on it. So my stance on it is very simple. Stop talking about her. And I wasn't even going to bring it up in the show until people in chat here started kind of mentioning it. So I just wanted to address it real quick, just so people didn't think we were ignoring it, because I was. But let me rephrase that. I didn't want people to think that I wasn't aware of it. I'm very aware of it. I'm ignoring it. But now that I've addressed it, I guess I'm not ignoring it anymore.
Oh, and to follow up on chat, fuck Papa John.
So
I fully expect them to replace him with some kind of cartoon a la KFC guy.
So here's the Papa John thing. I actually have some thoughts on, but since that's not gaming related, I don't want to get into it at all.
Okay, we'll ignore that. Pizza is not directly related.
However,
to video gaming,
I will
though
say
they
this.
are similar.
And Coco in chat says, use the following promo code MLK50 for 3/5 off your next pizza purchase.
That's horrible, Coco. That's fucked up.
The thoughts and opinions of GamePoints viewership does not represent the thoughts and opinions of either Stephen Brown, David Smith, or GamePoints Industries. All right. All right, next. I'm sorry, I have to catch my breath on that one. Next topic.
In other news,
who here remembers The Escapist?
Ha!
Yes, that's them exactly.
Yeah.
They're back and under new management, and I say new in quotes, as you'll see as it goes on. In this topic here from Variety, Defy Media sells The Escapist gaming site to Canada's Enthusiast Gaming. There it is right there. After years of languishing under Defy Media's ownership, the Escapist video game website is under new management. Defy sold the property, founded in 2005, Toronto-based Enthusiast Gaming, which operates a network of websites devoted to video gaming in Canada's largest gaming expo. I believe the Enthusiast Gaming also owns Destructoid at this point. I am not positive. And if people don't know who the Escapist is, the Escapist was a website that their biggest personality is Yahtzee. They also carried Jim Sterling for a little bit. They carried Bob Chipman for a little bit, also known as Movie Bob, and a couple of big name people out there. Going on through the article. Terms of the deal weren't disclosed. With the deal, Enthusiast Gaming is bringing back the Escapist's former editor-in-chief, Russ Pitts, who had departed in September 2011. In acquiring the Escapist, Enthusiast cited its YouTube channel, which has 1.1 million subscribers. Its YouTube shows include popular game review series Zero Punctuation, hosted by Ben Yahtzee Croshaw, which is more or less the only thing the Escapist has now. From what I understand, the building, their headquarters in North Carolina, I think, was left abandoned. No one was writing for that site anymore.
Basically, everybody was fired.
Yeah, that site did not exist other than Yahtzee. Back to the article. I take that back. This comes from Russ Pitts' blog, which I don't have ready because I'm a bad host. Sorry about that. But here's a quote from there. One thing I can tell you without delay or equivocation, we're leaving politics at the door. Most of us have thoughts about politics, just like most of you, and because we're creators, those thoughts might show up in our work. Avoiding that would be unnatural. That said, I can promise you no one here will share their politics in an attempt to convince you are wrong, and your worth will not be calculated based on whether you're left or on the right. Politics are everywhere, but they don't have to be everything. We're going to focus on what's fun, and we'll hope you'll join us with that. The reason why I wanted to call that out specifically is because the Escapist back in, God, when did all that bullshit? 2014 is when like the Gamergate bullshit.
15?
Is that when the Gamergate bullshit really hit?
Yes. The Escapist became a wretched hive for scum and villainy.
They definitely went counter to what a lot of the mainstream narrative was. And it did kind of blow up. And I will say that while it was one of the few sites to try to encourage actual discussion from the topic there rather than just calling everyone racist and homophobe, it also did not really moderate all that well in an attempt to be balanced and opened up the doors to the nuttiest of nut jobs as well.
I already covered all this with Wretched Hive of Scum and Villainy. We're good.
So
we got it.
The Escapist became like a former show of itself, and it seems like they're trying to rebrand, and Russ Pitts, thank God, said, we are leaving politics at the door at this website. Now, we are political people still. We're going to have our opinions, but we're not going to try to shove them down your throat. And this comment, this one paragraph, started a shit show amongst the mainstream that I haven't seen. I haven't seen levels of this outrage since last weekend, David.
That's kind of funny.
So, people were legitimately upset that Russ Pitts said the Escapist is going to try to maintain an even hand politically. I am not. I am so fucking excited that I am not going to come in here and get told that things that I like make me racist or sexist, or things that David might like makes him an SJW. I want that balanced website. I'm not saying there isn't room for politics here, but god damn it, I don't want them hammered on my face every single time I go to like Polygon or Kotaku or Rock Paper Shotgun or something like that. It's just, I want a place where I can just enjoy video games. Why is that so bad, David?
I don't know. Like reading the media, it almost seems like I should be mad at them for saying it, but it doesn't make any fucking sense to be mad at them because their website legitimately went off the rails.
Yeah.
It did. It just spiraled out of control into just a crazy cesspool of controversy and nonsense.
There seems to be a mentality of,
they rebuilt it as a, hey, let's just not go that way. Let's just focus on games. Let's talk about games all the time and try. And he even says try to keep politics out of it. Not that they're never going to mention anything.
Yeah.
Just this is not what we're going to bring up front.
So there is,
and then they got like hammered on Twitter about it, and I don't know, it was kind of off-putting. I don't know. It's just weird. It's becoming this large just groupthink mentality on any side of the aisle, and if you're not with them, then you're against them, and it's just. I don't know. It's a really frustrating time to be alive and on the internet.
That's the point I was going to make. There is this mentality that if you're not part of the if you're not part of the solution, then you are part of the problem and must be just as equally
And
destroyed.
It doesn't matter what side. We're not talking about any specific side. It's just everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody is an us against them kind of thing, and it's really frustrating.
And
can't we just have we? Remember we? Man.
It used to be us against them. Now it's us against us. The reason why...
Did you just make a PCU reference?
Yes, I did.
All right.
The reason why I'm going to mention this seems to be the left-wing side of things, like just hammering Russ Pitts, who he himself is on the left of things, is because gaming media the mainstream gaming press, like the print media, tend to lean very, very left. And they came out saying things like, well, being apolitical is a dog whistle to the alt-right. And I'm like, motherfucker, no, it's not. being apolitical means you're not going to fucking scream about politics every single day on your front page. That's all it means, man. And my stance is the internet is a huge place. We can have Waypoint and Polygon. I don't agree with them on 90% of the shit they say, but I don't want them to go out of business. I don't want to call up their advertisers and try to drive them out. There's plenty of room on the internet. I want Waypoint to exist just as much as I want Breitbart Gaming to exist. Let them be. Let them have their voices. But you know what? I also want a place that I can go to and not have to be told that I'm disgusting for liking Dragon's Crown because there are debts in it.
I mean, that is pretty disgusting. That game's not even fun.
No, the game, it's a bad game, but it's a reference to an article that was written a few years ago. It's okay. The internet is infinite. There is room for all of this. We can have this spot. They can have that spot. The other people can have that spot, and we can all just enjoy shit. That's all I want, is to enjoy shit. I personally think making a video game website in 2018 when there is so much competition out there is possibly a waste of money, but more power to Russ Pitts if he can make this happen. I am a bit concerned that he says we're leaving politics at the door and then immediately goes and hires Bob Chipman back, because if you ever look at that guy's account, that's a whole nother story. But I, for one, welcome a major gaming site that isn't going to try to hammer people one way or another, that is going to focus on games being fun. And I wish them the best. Time will tell to see if if Russ Pitts' statement holds up. We will see. I personally have some doubts, but I am giving him the benefit of those doubts to see if he can't make something special here.
I got a final thought on this that I feel like everyone's just not paying attention to, and it's important to mention that Escapist was purchased by a company that's based in Canada.
Hey,
the
listen.
land of friendship.
Let me tell you something.
When has Canada
David
done anything offensive besides that one prime minister that always went off the rails? Besides that guy,
the one that's still in power right now. Let me tell you something, David.
They just kind of chill. They don't got to get all up in politics. They can just be Canadian and let's talk about video games. And damn it, our video games are $10 more expensive, and that's bullshit. Let's get regularly priced games.
I promise you, the Canada problem will be solved within the next 4 years.
The Canada problem?
Yes.
Wait, what? What Canada problem?
All I'm saying is America needs to expand, and Canada has a lot of room for storage.
What are you talking about? Canada's like the loft apartment above a really sweet party. They're fine.
Canada's like the loft apartment above a really sweet party, and the old guy's like banging their broom down going, "You quiet down there, America."
No. Canada's like a fancy hat. You stay away from Canada. Let them live their Canadian dreams.
All joking aside, every Canadian I met is an extremely lovely person.
Yeah, dude. I only know friendly people from Canada.
Okay. Let us know, of course, what you think about Escapist Return. Do you think that this is good? Do you think that politics should be involved in everything? Do you think we need a safe place? Or do you think that we just need to completely leave this shit at the door? Let us know your thoughts and opinions down below and in chat. David.
That's a lot to talk about. You want to talk about something that's completely unrelated, like cool pictures that are related to video games?
Abso-goddamn-lutely.
We talking about infographics, everybody.
I love a good infographic, by the way.
Dude, infographics are the future. I mean, they were the past also, but they're still the future.
Remember USA Today?
We got a whole bunch. We don't need to talk about that. We got a whole bunch of cool infographics from WePC.com talking about all kinds of crazy stuff related to the games industry. Actually, if you get a chance, you'll want to take a look at the link when we post it up on the YouTube page, because there's some really cool stuff in here. It's slightly boring and data related, but if you're into slightly boring data related things,
God knows I am.
It's an interesting read. There's a couple standouts that we wanted to talk about. So the video game market is expected to be worth over $90 billion by 2020.
That's billion with a B.
$78.61 billion in 2017. Tencent, that Chinese giant game company, made the most revenue from games with a revenue of $7.4 billion. During the first half of 2017, these guys have investments in Riot, Activision, and Blizzard. The second place for this is Sony at 4.3.
That should just give you an idea of whenever we talk about how terrifying Tencent is as a company, it's because they own parts of everything. No one knows it. And they made almost twice as much money in the first half of 2017 as their next competitor, Sony, did.
Also, keep in mind that they own a big chunk of, or they're invested a big chunk into Epic, who are printing money right now with Fortnite. So
yeah, absolutely.
That number from the first half of 2017 probably doesn't hold a candle to what they're making right now.
I think they own 25% of that company. I'm not positive off the top of my head.
The Asia Pacific region reached a revenue of $51 billion, making them the largest gaming market in 2017. That's right. Asia Pacific plays more games than Americans do. China covers 41% of the game market revenue worldwide, which puts them first on the list. That's why tons of companies are trying to break into China, why they're trying to sell games, why they're getting games translated, and why so many people are partnering with Tencent to get things released over there, because there's a huge market for stuff.
There are rules about foreign companies doing business in mainland China, and since Tencent is a Chinese company to begin with, that not only accounts for why they are so profitable, because when you have 40% one of all video game revenue being generated in China, but also they are kind of the gatekeepers to getting your game released in China, and if your market is 40% worldwide, everyone wants a piece of it.
Yep. Yeah, so the package market took 80% of the market share in 2011 and dropped all the way to 46% in 2017. So package is like physical, like here's your game, here's the main part. The DLC market took 20% of the share in 2011 and jumped up to 54% in 2017.
Now keep in mind, DLC in this term doesn't mean like hats and everything like that. They mean just digitally downloaded games.
Yeah, so buying stuff from the PlayStation Network potentially, or Steam, stuff like that. Online games is taking up 47% of the global PC and console gaming revenues in 2019.
Online PC games specifically. I wanted to point that out because that means more than just under half of all revenue generated in games came from PC gaming.
Yeah. Now, all you people that are saying PC gaming is dying and blah, 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 consoles, that's been a rumor for the last 18 years. You're all stupid. PC gaming is not going anywhere. PC Master Race, get out of my face with that shit. To be fair,
I don't think I have seen anyone make the PC gaming as dead argument for at least 4 years now.
Well, it's because we took all the money. And by we, I mean people that are definitely not me, because that's some of my money over there too. In 2017, the market value of the global mobile contents is $59 billion and expected to reach 74.4 in 2019.
You want to know why everything seems to be going that mobile way? We were talking about...
Because mobile makes all the money. So remember when we used to make fun of people that played mobile games and consider them not gamers? That is not the truth. Also, I never quite agreed with that. Any damn person that plays a video game, even if it's a bejeweled blitz on their phone, is a gamer to me, because we don't need to be exclusive as gamers. We want as many as possible. We used to be outcasts. We used to be the nerds. Now we're taking over. Yes, your grandma that plays online poker, that's a gamer. I don't care. That's awesome. You do you, grandma.
I want you to be exclusionary as possible. In fact, if you even like if you both like RPGs, I want you to get in a fight, whether Suikoden or Wild Arms is better. I want as many divisions as possible. That's not true, by the way. Let's not be assholes. Let everyone.
Yeah, dude, Suikoden is clearly better. Like, don't say stupid shit.
So before you go into the next thing, mobile games. Where was it at? Market value of the global mobile contains is $59.8 billion US. Now, the first stat you read was that in 2017, games made $78.61 billion. That means 75%-ish of revenue was generated from mobile.
That's spooky.
That's
why all your favorite franchises are going to phone games.
Yeah, if you want to know
why... How are you enjoying that new Command & Conquer, Steven?
That's what I was about to go on. Don't fucking get me started on that goddamn rant. I'm still pissed off that they fucking had Kane at the end of that trailer, but they changed him just enough from Joe Kukin's likeness to go, oh, here's Kane, but we're not going to actually pay Joe Kukin for all of his fucking hard work. Fuck you, EA. God damn, I hate that game so much.
Anyway,
if you think I'm pissed now, wait until they do it to Dead Space. I know there was already a Dead Space mobile game, but wait until they bring back Dead Space as the fucking free-to-play clicker, Dead Space Crush Saga or some bullshit like that.
Sounds fun. Play that on the John. And lastly, 42% of gamers in the US are not subscribed to any gaming services or platform, which is the one that was kind of surprising to me. I
Yeah, that's why I
assume
threw it in
just
here.
with like the how saturated the PS4 is in the gaming like space, or how many Xboxes there are, and how many people have like Steam or play MMOs, that almost half of the gamers aren't subscribed to anything.
Yeah, no
So
Xbox Live, no PSN.
They play things offline, or they just play PC games and don't pay for online play.
Is this now? This is one of those things I look at and I have to kind of wonder what they're defining gamer as. Are they defining it the way you define gamer? That even if it's the person who sits there and plays like Peggle on their phone, are they considered a gamer? Because if that's the only thing they play, I get that number being 42%. Or are we talking about that? That's why I don't like the term gamer specifically, because it's so nebulous. Everyone has their own idea of what it means. So when you try to apply a percentage to it, we don't quite know.
Because... a gamer is someone who plays games.
Okay.
Who does not look down on other people who plays games.
Okay, well we can't tell if someone's looking down on someone or not, so we can't use that as an official definition.
Yep, no, that's it. That's all it takes. That's all I gotta do.
I want to know.
If you played a video game and you didn't yell at somebody else for playing a video game, then you're a gamer. That's
how
we're doing it. I want
to know what this page's definition of gamer is, so I can have some comparison to where this 42% number is coming from. Is it self-identified? Is it number of people who have bought any kind of game in the past year? Is it any number of people who have played a game for less than 15 minutes of the past year? I want more context to the term gamer here to get it. Because if it's just, say, console gamers and PC gamers, but not mobile gamers, if you exclude that 42% seems really goddamn low.
Well, I'm just going to go from something else that was on the study that you didn't pull, but 76% of the customers in their surveys prefer to play games on mobile devices.
Right, so it probably is what would be.
So I think they're just including everybody.
So it would be also considered what people would consider the casual gamer, and I put that in quotes because some people think it's a derogatory term and some people don't care. I want to know what their definition of a gamer is, and it could be on that page. That page is massive. It is a giant page.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. Like I said, it's kind of a cool thing to scroll through. I wouldn't sit and read all of it unless you're really into numbers. But yeah, there's some cool stuff in there.
Yeah, and I'm kind of including a fuse here in chat. They're saying pretty sure gamer encompasses anyone that plays a game digitally, phone included. I wouldn't even say digitally. It's probably self-identified, to be quite honest with you. But I want that. Coco man, let's keep that a little. Let's keep that kind of stuff a little bit more under your hat there. Because you say that, it gets taken out of context, then I get yelled at, then I got to yell at you. So let's keep the slurs down just a tad. I understand that we might not always want to. I don't think I've ever had this conversation in chat. Let's just be cool to everyone. So if it's something that might be interpreted as slightly homophobic or anything like that, just kind of just not say it. I'm not saying you can't say that in your personal time, but for the purposes of
listen to us and only do what we say.
But for the purposes of my own sanity, to keep people from coming at me going, why do you let people watch you that say things like that? Let's just not go down that road. Dr. Hugo, thanks for showing up in chat, by the way. An odd time to pop in, as I'm kind of, I don't want to say scolding chat, but
no, it's fine. Okay, so I just wanted to jump in one more thing before we move on to the next topic that I found really interesting in this. There was a bit of an interview at the GDC conference of what developers were working on, and like 53% of game developers were making games for like PC and Mac, 27% for PS4, 22% for Xbox One, 24% for VR headsets, and 3% of game developers reported they were developing games for the Nintendo Switch.
And this 3%?
Was at 3%. And this was from the recent GDC. I'm very curious to see if that's shifted or if that's why we're just getting this crazy amount of ports for the Switch.
This is also one of those things I'm kind of curious what
no
they
one's
mean for...
really building new games for the Switch.
that's why I want more context into stuff too, because what do they mean by developers? Because the vast majority of developers make shitty mobile games. Shitty in my
That's
opinion.
true. But there's also a shit ton of indie games that are being crapped onto Switch constantly, which are all ports of mobile games. But it seems like not a lot of people are specifically building things for the Switch. At least according to this. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it was interesting. I wanted to bring it up.
I want to hear what they're defining as developer, if it counts like all mobile developers as well. Because if it does, I get why that number's so low. Anyways.
Well, anyway, this is a cool spreadsheet that we keep complaining about because there's not enough information in it, apparently. Whatever, next topic.
It's not that there's not enough information. It's I want the information to be a little bit more clear. I want their definitions to be clear. But yes, next topic. Let's go ahead and round out the show with something that looks really cool. I saved this for last because goddamn, it's awesome.
Dude, we are hyped about this thing, and we are going to share it with you. Reminder that if you have Netflix, I'm not telling you to subscribe to anything, but if you happen to have it, and you happen to like video games, and one of those video games is Castlevania, go watch the damn Castlevania Season 1 on Netflix. Just do it. It's 4 episodes. They're 22 minutes long. It's like an hour-long movie if you put it all together. Hour and 20 minutes, whatever. It's real good. And now, we get a sneak peek of Season 2.
Season 2 trailer did just drop for the Castlevania Netflix series, or the Netflix Castlevania series. It looks goddamn amazing. I am so excited for it. Adi Shankar has done some of the best adaptations of existing properties I've ever seen. Once again, I will direct you to his bootleg universe stuff, including Dirty Laundry, Power Slash Ranger, and goddamn it, what was the other one?
I don't know, but he's real good.
Yeah, take a look at it. Take a look at that trailer.
Spoiler alert, but that Castlevania is graphic as hell.
Oh yeah, don't watch this with your kids. You
start that show and you're thinking, oh, okay, yeah, it's a video game show. You know, watch it with the kids. Like 2 minutes in, someone gets their entire bottom jaw ripped off and just starts bleeding out all over. It's super graphic. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
they didn't hold anything back.
Highly recommend you watch it, but be aware it is super violent. But goddamn, is it good? The season 2 trailer came out. Premieres October 26th, I believe. The way Netflix does things, they drop everything at once. Take a look at the trailer. It will be linked in the description down below on the YouTube page.
We'd make you watch it, but then our whole video gets pulled, and it's not worth it.
Yeah, I'll also link it in chat here if you guys want to go take a look at it. So give me 2 seconds. And David, I'm excited for that Castlevania trailer, or series rather, season 2. But that's not coming out until October. That is months away.
That's
if I'm
forever.
bored right now, though, what can I play this week if I'm just bored waiting for that to come out?
Besides Warframe and No Man's Sky next.
David, don't fucking kill the bit. Just roll with it. We have these things for a reason.
Oh, yeah, bits. Let's talk about some new games coming out this week. First up on my list of shit that I found on the internet that's being released is La Mulana 2, releasing on PC. This is the sequel to La Mulana. You actually play as a protagonist from the first game's daughter. It is a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania style game that looks very Indiana Jonesy, just aesthetically. In Mulana 2, you take the role of Lamusa Kusogi, who's the daughter of the old one, who's going to the cradle of human civilization to find treasures and other nonsense.
I get a strong Spelunky vibe from this.
Of the 2D platforming games specifically releasing this week, this isn't my favorite of them. But if you can't get enough of 2D side-scrolling platformers, there's another one for you. I'm going to actually jump to the one that I'm more excited for. Sorry, Mulana 2 fans, but I am more excited for Chasm, which is coming out on PS4, PC, and Vita. A Vita game in 2018. What is this? This is, again, a side-scrolling platforming style game, Metroidvania, but it has more of like the old-school hack-and-slash style feel. It's more dungeony. It's got treasure. The enemies and the combat system look much more entertaining, in my opinion. I've yet to play either of these games, but of the two, this is probably the one I'll lean towards.
It's also procedurally generated to a degree, so you get something different every time you play through it. Now, I know what you're thinking of, procedurally generated Metroidvania. That doesn't make sense. Well, it's because a lot of the main rooms where the bosses are kind of in the same place. It's the stuff in the middle that changes from run to run. And the reason why I know all this is because I am doing the review for this game for GameCritics.com. I have already finished Chasm, but unfortunately I cannot tell you if I liked it or not online because I believe I'm under embargo for another 4 minutes. and I don't want to run the risk of upsetting anyone. Also, I want to say, hey, Dr. Hugo, thanks for showing up. I'm glad you're liking the content. And it's always cool to find someone outside of the U.S. I like getting those extra opinions from different parts of the world. But yes, Chasm, PlayStation 4, PS Vita. Like you said, who the hell releases a Vita game? And PC. And
Besides Devolver.
Yeah, besides Devolver.
Also coming out this week for PS4, Switch, and Xbox One, we have 1979 Revolution Black Friday. This is kind of an interesting one to get into. Now, this is a game that's based on true stories and historical events. It's an interactive drama game about choice, consequence, chaos, and order. Interactive drama, think Telltale style game.
Firewatch.
Firewatch, games where you make a lot of decisions, games where you're not necessarily doing a lot of actions, but you're kind of in there for the story. This
also
game
known as like a walking simulator almost. Is that what this would fall
takes
into?
place in 1978 Tehran, Iran. You actually plays a photojournalist who comes home to find his people protesting the ruling king. And basically, armed with your camera, you're pulled into the dangerous world of revolution and civil unrest. This has a lot of pre-release awards heaped on it, and I've heard nothing but good things about the storytelling in this game. But like we mentioned, this is a walking simulator, so if you are the kind of person that gets bored out from just reading a lot or watching cutscenes and not having a big effect on the action, this might not be the game for you. But if you're looking for a story, this could be right up your alley.
I also believe this has been on PC for about 2 years now, so this is just the console release of it.
Ah, that makes sense. Also coming out this week is Castaway Paradise. I have trouble getting hyped for this because this basically looks like Animal Crossing, but with a Minecraft aesthetic over it. You wash up on an island, tropical island, you go to explore, you go fishing, you make a garden, you literally shake trees for items to come out of them.
Quick show of hands, who's done with the Minecraft aesthetic besides what's in Minecraft?
Yo, like I get it, blocks are cool, but not every game needs to be blocky, and you don't need to remake games I've already played in the blocky aesthetic. It's seriously, if you watch a trailer for Castaway Paradise, it looks exactly like Animal Crossing, but everybody's blocky. I don't know. This could be all for you if you happen to be the world's biggest Animal Crossing fan.
You take that green creeper you wrote, Real Pie Master, and you blow it out your ass. There's no Minecraft on this channel.
There's plenty of Minecraft on this channel. If this was the channel from 6 years ago, also coming out this week, something that I'm actually pretty damn excited for, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice VR Edition. Now,
if you haven't played Hellblade, you god damn it, play it.
Okay, no. If you haven't played Hellblade and for some reason you have a VR headset because you're one of those 8 people, now is the time to play it. If you already own Hellblade, you get the VR Edition upgrade for free. If you buy Hellblade, I'm pretty sure you get this as well. I'm very excited about this for one specific reason. All the times we talk about VR games, I'm worried because they all have like the teleport to move, or it's kind of like this weird thing because no one really knows how to build a game so you don't get nauseous when you're in the VR headset. This is a legitimate VR game. They've been working on the VR version of this game since the game was first in production. They got a VR headset super early and put a lot of work into getting it so it runs stable at like 90 FPS and made it so that you could actually play the game.
Wait, did you say 90 FPS?
Yes, a third-person adventure game, action-adventure game that doesn't make you nauseous. No teleporting, no first person. You actually can control the camera and your character's movement by fucking turning your head, and they built the system so that if you pan too far, instead of snapping around, the world will actually slowly rotate so that you don't get nauseous, so you can actually turn around, and you can still control your character with the controller. I watched this whole big video on it, and I'm actually really hyped because for me, this sounds like a cool use of VR because I've been waiting for an actual game in VR.
I want to see this as well, especially the way with Hellblade screws with you, where you hear like the voices and stuff. Imagine being in a VR headset and having that happen. Yes, Pie Master, this is the insane Viking girl that hears all the voices in her head. I love Ninja Theory. I'm a bit disappointed to see them get gobbled up Microsoft, but I'm also excited that they have all those resources now. Oh God, what was their Heavenly Sword, Enslaved? Those are amazing games. Hell, I even loved DMC, and I get that that game gets a lot of shit, rightfully so in some cases, but they're all good games. And Hellblade is a AAA game for a budget price. It came out at $30.
They called it a double A. a AA game when they were releasing it.
It's more than that. That is a AAA game in my opinion.
Yeah, but it launched at like $30.
Yeah, if you have an extra 30 quid just bouncing around, you owe it to yourselves to pick that up.
Quid?
I was watching Lockstock earlier today. Leave me alone.
Get the fuck out of my channel, son.
I've been watching way too many British YouTubers.
Whatever, dude. Or I'm over it. I'm going to talk about something more North American. Thank you very much. Maximum Football 2018 comes out this week for PS4 and Xbox One.
You know what's funny is I spent like 5 minutes bitching about Canada, and I do that.
Yeah, this is the Canadian and American football game made by Canuck Play. So it's actually a North American football game. You make your team, you make your rules, so you actually it allows you to play with the Canadian or the American football rules with fully customizable teams and players. This is not a like professional sports football game. This is a like custom football game, which is why it doesn't have any like specific affiliation with it. But yeah, if you're super into football and you desperately need to play with the Canadian rules, you have that coming out this week. Good luck.
Say with Lithuanian rules? Did I hear that right?
Lithuanian. I don't know. Also coming out this week, shut up, Steven. WarioWare Gold for 3DS. This one comes out on Friday. I like to point the ones that come out on Friday out. This is another damn WarioWare game where you have 300 some odd mini games and you have seconds to complete each mini game. You use the touchscreen, tilting your 3DS around, pressing buttons, yelling into the microphone, and doing all kinds of nonsense. This has new games and a bunch of remade classics. If you've never seen a WarioWare game before, it's basically just an endless series of mini games. There's people that love them, there's people that like them, and there's me, who's moving on. Also coming up this week is Yakuza 0 for PC. Now, the Yakuza franchise has been on the PlayStation platforms for a long time now, and we're finally getting one. Yeah, we're finally getting one on PC, and it's going to be Yakuza 0. So this is not the newest game, but it's definitely not the oldest, because some of those are PS2 games, and they don't look great. This is the one that takes place as a prequel in the 1980s. So, of course, I'm all about it, because I love things that are covered in neon. And it's, yeah, you fight through Tokyo and Osaka as the junior Yakuzas Kiryu and Majima. And it's 1980s Japan. So you run around playing ridiculous mini games, beating up bad guys. It's a little over the top. These games look very entertaining. I've heard a lot of good things about them. And more important, uncapped frame rates and 4K resolutions. There you go, Yakuza 0.
If you're going to be on a PC, there's no reason not to uncap your frame rate.
Also, the funny thing to me is the fact that Yakuza 0, I think, is still like $40 or $50 on PlayStation. This game's launching at $20 on PC. I think I'm finally going to play a Yakuza game. I'm not going to lie.
You know, the Yakuza games have always been like in my backlog, but there's always something I want to play before I get to them. I might actually finally break down and give this one a shot too.
$20 for the one in the 80s. This is legitimately the one I've been waiting to go on sale so I can play it on PS4. And I mean, I'm more than likely going to play it because it's actually on PC.
Sounds good. David.
Well, I think that's it. I don't have any other new releases for you, so you guys are on your own.
And that more or less wraps up the show, I believe.
Today's episode sponsored by Patty's Irish Whiskey.
This has been GamePoints episode 137. If you can, we do stream live every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at Twitch TV/GamePoints, and we love it when you show up in chat to actually interact with us. We've had a very busy night tonight, and I appreciate all of you showing up. If you can't watch us live, however, I do put up all of our old shows over at youtube.com/c/GamePointsPC. That's right, we have an actual YouTube the URL now rather than a bunch of letters and digits, and you can take a look at stuff there. Regardless of where you're at, like, subscribe, follow, dislike, comment. The only thing I ask is that you keep it civil. Like Adam mentioned earlier today, someone says something unseemly, they don't go after that person, they come after me. I have to explain, hey, it's just bad. So let's just keep it all cool, right? There's no need to even if it's a harmless joke, don't get into it. And it's just the world we live in today. Thank you for watching, though. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at GamePoints PC. If you want to follow myself, I'm Stephen Brown at CapitalistPick31, and you can follow David over there at Palstrife_Satori. This has been GamePoints 137. Until next Monday, we're out of here.